Hey guys, so in this video I want to show you how to create a lead magnet that actually converts. So you've been doing this for a while and you've got a landing page already and you're not seeing the conversions you want, this could be a good video for you. And if you're a complete beginner, I'm going to take you through the whole process step by step. So hey, just before we start, my name is Richard, this is the School of Nomads. If you've not been over to our channel before and you want to learn tips and tricks about making an income online, please go ahead and hit that subscribe and notification bell. You'll be notified whenever I release new videos. And if you're interested in my blueprint that teaches you how to create a real business online, go ahead and check that link in the description below and I'm going to take you through the whole process. So we can have an all-round understanding of the type of lead magnets you create and what we're trying to achieve with them. There's various topics I kind of want to go through. So we're going to go through what is a lead magnet, and we're going to discuss various things over the types of lead magnets you can actually create. And then we're going to go through something more specific about audience triggers and the types of folks that you are trying to market to and you want to actually reach with your message. Now there's certain things and behaviors in those types of people that we want to try and understand before we start creating these types of lead magnets. And then we're going to talk about how to build your message. I have a very simple message that goes onto a landing page that as soon as they see it, they're kind of excited and they want to get that lead magnet. And then we'll go through how you can actually go ahead and research and get the content for your lead magnets. And then I'm going to quickly show you a funnel where you can actually go ahead and deliver that lead magnet, and I'll show you an example of a landing page. So let's go through what a lead magnet is. So a lead magnet is an incentive given by marketers in exchange for some form of contact details, and of course the aim is to make it very desirable. So obviously when people land on your landing page, you're trying to advertise a business or a service overall by using that particular lead magnet, and we want to make sure that one, that lead magnet is congruent with the overall offer, but then also, it's enticing enough for somebody to want to download it. So the aim is to make sure that we're creating something with enough value that people are willing to give up some form of details. Now, usually that's an email address. There are other types of methods you can use now that allow you just to pick up their information from their social media contacts. All sorts of different ways you can set up a landing page. But essentially, the one that works best still is to capture some form of name and email, and that will be enough for you to contact them on an ongoing basis. So there's various types of lead magnets, right? You can have some form of content bait where you're trying to give someone some information to educate them and obviously get them excited about your product or service. You can give away free trials. Lots and lots of software companies do this. They quite often give away free trials to their particular service so that you can try it out. You can have webinars. Again, that's very informational. You're giving people additional information and maybe following that up with some kind of sales pitch at the end of it. You can do special offers in the form of vouchers or coupons or discount cards. You can run contests, you can run quizzes. You could do some live demos. That might be in person, that might be online. You can actually demonstrate the product live, get some feedback on that product, get some questions from the clients. So there's lots of different ways that you can do live demos. With widgets, you can actually have widgets now where you have free trials to widgets. And again, lots and lots of these companies will actually let you have a free version of the widget for using it a certain amount of times, and then you start paying. So lots and lots of different lead magnets that you can get. For the purposes of this, I want to just talk about kind of the top two, the content bait and the free trials, because they're the kind of two that I use most often, where I'm giving somebody some content to educate them, or I'm showing them places where they can get free trials. So I want to talk to you a little bit about audience triggers next. Now what you'll find is that large groups of people in the same types of audiences are very like-minded and they have similar values and wants and needs. So my analogy really is sports teams in the UK. If I'm a Manchester United fan, right, I support Man United. And a lot of the folks who are Man United fans have got very, very similar types of wants and needs when it comes to actually watching their own sports club, right? They may have totally different backgrounds, they might be totally different ages, but there's a collective of wants and needs. Well, it's kind of the same in the business world. If you're in a certain type of business, there'll be certain things that you kind of want more of and would like less of. So what we're trying to do really is we're trying to identify those triggers as our audience comes to us that we're trying to pull off to be able to create something that's going to satisfy them, right? So that's the kind of thing that we'll do over the next few slides. I want to show you kind of how I would look at the triggers in my particular audience, which is kind of the make money online, the online entrepreneur type audience, and how I would pull those triggers and then figure out a message for those particular folks. So as you see here, there's a number of ways that I can actually look at my target audience, and you really need to understand who your audience are, right? That you're trying to give these particular lead magnets to. So you want to understand their interests, their personality, what kind of lifestyle maybe they have, what kind of hobbies they have, what kind of age and gender they are. And it could be a whole range of those things, but you need to have a good understanding of the types of folks that are going to be after your types of offers. The kind of values they have, their attitudes, their behaviors. If you can get a good idea of some of these key demographics around people, then you can start to tailor your particular offering in a certain way. So if you knew people were a certain age group with a certain background, with a certain interest in, say, music or whatever, and their hobbies were playing guitar, then you'd be very specific about what kinds of things you were offering them. And they'd be totally different to somebody who was an older person who wanted to lose weight, who didn't want to go to the gym. There'd be a totally different set of folks there that you would go and market to and provide products and services to. So it's very, very key to understand your audience. And the more specific you can do that, the better your messaging is actually going to be, and the better your lead magnet will be to actually convert, right? So this is very, very important. Now, there's certain ways that once we have this, we can start understanding what kind of things these folks want more of and what kind of things these folks want less of. And then what we kind of call the emotional triggers, right? The triggers that make these people react in certain ways. So I just put together a few kind of triggers here for the particular audience that I'm going to look at. And my audience are people that are trying to kind of increase the number of leads for their online business. So it's very, very important to kind of understand that before you start doing triggers, right? So whatever you're trying to achieve with your particular lead magnet, you kind of have to have an overall goal that you're trying to analyze. Now, what are my audience actually trying to do? Are they trying to lose weight? Are they trying to gain weight? Are they trying to learn how to play the guitar? You know, whatever it may be, to have that overall vision in mind, and then try and think about what kind of things they would like to positively happen when they were trying to do that, and what kind of things that would negatively happen. So just some of my brainstorming. If you have some positive triggers, if you're trying to increase the number of leads, for instance, in their online business, what would you positively like to happen? You obviously want to get more sales, you want to have more leads, you'd like to have more traffic to do that. By doing that, you might have more time with your family, you might have more time traveling, you'd have less stress because obviously you're not getting the leads you want, so you'd have less stress than you are now. And you may be able to quit your job, so that might be a goal that you might be able to quit your job. So there could be some kind of positive triggers you have. Now, negative triggers are slightly different. So negative triggers are those things that you would see that would kind of put people off. It could be the fear of failure or giving up on whatever your online business is. It could be having to take too many risks. You could be adding to more stress, so it might be too much for you to learn in certain ways, or too much for you to do as far as learning new tools, etc. You might just not know what you're doing, and obviously that stress comes in with doing that. You might have health problems, so you might have to spend too much time in front of a computer and actually your health starts suffering. You may have an inconsistent workload where you're not really sure what you're doing all the time, so you're not sure how you're going to actually get through that in the day, so you're very, very inconsistent in what you do. Or you might be actually spending too much on advertising currently, and that's not so much, and advertising spending isn't a big problem unless it's effective. So we could actually reword that in some way and make sure that you're not being very effective in your advertising at the moment, because paid advertising is a very, very good way of getting leads, obviously. But in this case, this person may be spending too much and not getting the leads they actually want. So the key thing we need to be able to do with triggers is measure them over time. Now, it's very, very key to be able to measure things, because I'm not sure if I'm impacting them unless I can measure it. So if I look at my triggers, I can tell if there's a unit attached to those particular triggers. I might be able to measure it over time. So if I just look at my positive triggers here, and we talk about things like sales, then obviously you can measure sales because you can do it in the amount of dollars you make, right? And a positive measure in this case would be increasing sales. Same with leads. You can increase leads, and there's a definite metric around leads. Same as traffic, visitors to a website is a definite metric around that. So all of these things can have a positive influence because obviously you can measure them and they can increase over time. Anything to do with time, obviously that's another continuous type measure. So you can have hours and days, you can increase that time you spend with somebody or decrease that time, whichever way you want to go. But the kind of things like stress and quitting a job, that's the key thing here when you have any kind of these triggers you identify, is can you really measure how much stress someone's under, or whether someone's quitting a job. So I guess if you really dug into it, you could find metrics that measure that. But it's not going to be very easy for you to kind of draft a message very quickly that measures that, right? So we've got to be very, very clear about when we pick in a trigger, and the aim here is to pick one or two triggers that we're going to go and draft a message from, how we're actually going to measure that trigger. So I've done the same here for negative triggers, and really as I go through this list of my negative triggers, a lot of them are kind of feeling type triggers, so it's very difficult to measure. And the best one really on here that I can kind of influence straight away using my example is the kind of spending too much on advertising. So if I look at ad spend, obviously I'm losing money to do that, and I can actually decrease or increase the amount I'm spending on adverts, and that would obviously have some kind of effect on the overall feelings of my clients. So again, with advertising, it's probably more about how effective I'm being with my advertising, but it is something that I can use in my kind of overall messaging to make sure that comes across. So everything I'm actually showing here, if you just take a look at the description below, you see a link through to the information. You can go ahead and download it from there, and you can have a look at this afterwards. But I just want to make the point here that you want to make sure that you're very clear when you're drafting a message that everything you're really doing is measurable, and you can increase it or decrease it or have an effect over time. So just for the purposes of my example, I'm going to look at increasing the leads. So I want somebody to be having more leads, and I want to be able to increase that over time. So that's going to be my positive trigger that I'm going to look at. And then from a negative point of view, I want to look at how much I'm spending on advertising and kind of optimize that. So I've said decrease or increase here. I want to be able to make sure that I'm optimizing over time how much somebody is spending on advertising. So let's talk about how we'd actually build our message. So the message is the first thing that people see on your landing page when they come over to go ahead and get that lead magnet, right? So it's very, very important that it's very short and concise and conveys as much information as possible, so that as soon as they hit it, they kind of think, oh, this is interesting, I'm really excited about getting that, and they go ahead and give you the information to get it. So there's kind of three key things that we would do to look at building this clear message to people. So there's 3 steps you go through for this, right? You've got a positive and negative trigger. I showed you that in the last slides, where I've picked a positive trigger to focus on and I've picked a negative trigger to focus on. And then you have kind of an audience call out. Now, this is kind of a general call out that you would give to anybody who comes along and lands on your landing page. And it's more around kind of making a positive call out to people rather than being too specific. So you could call people, a group of people, something like online marketers or internet entrepreneurs or online business owners, because that's the kind of market that I am actually trying to focus on in this particular example. So just jumping back to my own example, you know, your positive trigger is increase your leads. A negative trigger may be ad spend to get leads, and your select my audience call out could be something like online business owners. So that's the one I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on getting them to a place where they think that my lead magnet is going to help them increase their leads. And I'm also going to get them to a place where they think that my lead magnet is going to help them in some way optimize their ad spend. So there's a very, very simple way that you can go ahead and draft this message. And there's kind of an example here that you can go away and use, but what all you need to do really is kind of fill in the gaps on this particular messaging. And you would have a for whoever your audience is, and you would call them out. And you could put something like the ultimate guide, the complete guide to whatever your positive lead magnet is, so to increasing your leads, and without spending too much on advertising, increasing your costs, whatever it may be, you could add that. So it's a very, very simple way to draft a message. But if you do it this short and snappy, people's attention spans are very short. You can go through and you can draft a message using this kind of format very quickly. So I'll just give you a quick example. So my example would be for online business owners, the complete guide to exploding your leads without increasing your costs. Very, very snappy. And then I would just have a message underneath saying, download it now, hit a button, and they would download it. So that's the way that you would go ahead and build a very, very optimized messaging on your landing page before you even get to creating whatever it is as far as the lead magnet is concerned. Now, the reason I've gone through all of that is if you don't do any of that first and you don't optimize that piece, it doesn't really matter what you create because nobody will click on it. So it's very, very important that you go through that piece first before you actually go on to the second phase, which is all about what kind of lead magnet I'm going to create for my target audience and how am I going to deliver it. There's many different types of lead magnet that you can actually deliver. There's something here that I've written under the title here, the saying, keep it simple, stupid. And what it really means is, if you have something that you're putting together for somebody, you need to make it short, snappy, to the point. Nobody's got enough time now to go through 30-page ebooks. And I'm sure if you've been online for any amount of time and you've taken one of these type of lead magnets, that you may have seen some of these massive reports come down into your inbox before. And unfortunately, this day and age, that people haven't got time. You're better off delivering these things short and concise. So I'm going to give you a recommendation in a minute of the type of thing that you can create. But you need to make sure they're short and snappy. Nobody's got enough time in their lives anymore to read through a 30 or 40 page PDF. They want to make sure the information is very short and actionable. So there's a couple of alternatives here, and I'm going to give you some kind of the pluses and minuses of each. PDF, it needs to be less than 10 to 15 pages long. The only thing with PDFs is they are quite hard to create. You need to be very kind of skilled at making a really nice designed PDF. Now the second one is a video. So if you make a video, make it less than 15 minutes long. Make it so that people can kind of listen to it very quickly. You could even make a small video series with several topics in it. And that would be very easy to kind of digest. And you could do what I'm doing now. You could just kind of go on and get a slide deck together and just talk through. Or you could go on camera yourself. Whatever way would be better for you. But videos are a little bit better these days. And they are a more preferred method to kind of deliver these things. You can put together a cheat sheet. People love cheat sheets because it allows them to download a one-page summary, have everything they have on one page, and kind of tick off, and they've got all the information they need there. You can put together a checklist, again, similar to a cheat sheet, but a checklist is actually a set of tasks that are broken down, and then go ahead and finish each of those tasks, and then by the time you finish, you've done the whole process. So checklists are great. Infographics are quite cool these days. You see them quite a lot. They're kind of difficult sometimes to build, but infographics are very good and very visual, so you can visualize the key points very easy. But my preferred one and the best one for me is if you provide some form of toolkit. Now, a toolkit is kind of a collection of the other things that I've just described. And you could have a very short video in there that goes through whatever process that you're trying to talk about. So in my case, my video could even be a short section of the one I'm doing now, and I could cut it into various pieces and then kind of deliver it in that fashion. I could have a checklist, so I can go to put all of this video down into a checklist and say, have you gone ahead and looked at people's triggers? Have you found out if they're measurable? Have you done and created your messaging? All of that kind of thing could be one step at a time and put into some kind of checklist. You could give them free access to software. So if you have something on social media and you want to create something about how to manage social media, there's lots and lots of software that you can go ahead and look at that you can give free access to. Now, if you go on somewhere like AppSumo, on AppSumo, most of the softwares that they're advertising on there give a free version. So it's very easy to kind of include that in your toolkit as just a link to that free version, and you give them something that they wouldn't have seen before and they can go ahead and use straight away. So powerful that, right? Because you're giving someone a really nice piece of software that you've not actually created yourself. And obviously the people that made that software are going to love it because they got a new client there that may end up being a paying customer. So it's a very good kind of idea to do things like giving access to free software. So the research process is very simple. All you need to do is use Google. Now, Google is your friend here. You can go on there, just type in the particular search term of your lead magnet, and there's lots and lots of resources will come up. And you can use those resources to just take note of all the different things that have been said around that topic and then put them into one topic, right? So you would review the first page of Google, you take note of a few of those sites, and then you just use that information and combine it and make it your own and make it your own unique type report. And then you republish in whatever format you have. So there's lots of ways that you can get that existing information. As long as you're not copy and pasting information and then putting it straight onto your own documentation and having it as your own, then that's okay, right? You can go ahead and you can reuse that information in different formats. Just put a different spin on it, right? If somebody has a full article, you can make that article into a checklist. If somebody has a full article, you can make that into a video by changing it up and just talking through some things. So just remember, we need to keep this as simple as possible, but make it look as nice as possible. That's the kind of key here. So let me just jump into Google and I'm going to show you how quick this is. Okay, so I jumped over Google. So I want to learn about kind of the types of lead magnet that I can use if I want to grow leads in a business. So I've just come over here to do some research because my whole product is going to be on the types of lead magnet you can use and the way obviously you can generate more leads by doing that. And so I've come over and all I've done is I've written types of lead magnet on here, and I'm going through some of the top results. So all you need to do really is have a kind of a pad open, a notepad open, and copy across some of the top results here so that you've got them as reference and you can figure out, you know, once you get into them, what kind of information you'd like to use from each one. And all you need to do is look at that information and combine it, like I said. So I just go into one of the top ones here, SEMrush, they're going to be good. Obviously they're a huge company. And I look at 8 types of lead magnets for your website. So I would just basically scroll through and have a look at what the information is. And does that information look any good, right? If that information looks good to me, then I can go ahead and copy across this and then go on to the next one and look at other information. Now, a lot of it's going to be the same. A lot of it's going to be very similar information. But you can see they got, you know, the content bait. You can have text content, video content, infographics, and you know, there's lots of different examples here and lots of different links. So this is obviously a good one from my particular topic to come and have a look at. And they've obviously got examples of each one of the things I've discussed. If I go over to the second option, let's have a look at this one, 106 proven sales funnels create lead magnets. Now there's all sorts of swipe files here. I may end up being a paid one. So you could check out that and see if it's a paid one. I wouldn't go for it if it's a paid one because you're only going to give some out for free. So have a look at this 11 tried and true lead magnet ideas. There you go, ebooks, you know, landing page, information, bonus packs, all sorts of different things on here. Checklists that you can go ahead and look at. Ultimate webinar checklist. So there's lots and lots of different resources on here that you can go ahead very quickly in whatever niche you are. Copy in the main subject line and you'll be able to start getting information. Now on AppSumo, if I just show you AppSumo quickly, this is where you can go ahead and get a lot of different free access to various types of software. So if I just come over to this one, this is called Social Animal. This is a content marketing type site. If I just click on it and I'm going to scroll down where it says Social Animal here, if I click on that, I'll go over to the main site. And a lot of these main sites have free memberships. So look, there's a free trial sign up there. So if I wanted to talk about content marketing, for instance, then on AppSumo itself, there would be a free trial for this particular software. Now, all I would need to do on my actual toolbox is have a link to this and say, this is where you can go and get a free trial. So very, very powerful when you go onto sites like AppSumo. And there is others. I've got other videos on my channel that show you various places you can get these softwares. But it's very powerful if you can go and give away that. So that's kind of my preferred way of doing this type of thing. You would get a toolbox put together and you'd have maybe a video, you would have a checklist, and you would have some kind of access to free trials. And that would be a really nice way of putting together your actual offering and your lead magnet. So just to finish off, I do want to talk to you a little bit about the way that you're delivering your lead magnet. So the way that the lead magnet converts, obviously the big part of it is on that first screen and having that message that draws people in and gets them excited. But obviously once you then deliver it, you need to make sure you've got the system in place to actually go ahead and deliver that effectively. So if we just look at this very quick funnel I've got in front of me, you would have the lead magnet opt-in form where your messaging was here, and they would opt in and then they would be sent straight over to a thank you page. Now at the same time, they would go on to your actual email list, which is the thing that actually delivers them a message with the link to the actual download page for the particular lead magnet. Now the reason you do that is because on the thank you page, you've got various options of the types of things you can do next. You could offer them a direct access to a particular product or service, and maybe that's a free access, maybe that's some kind of paid offer that you've got, but it allows you that extra step to kind of make sure that you're giving them some kind of offer as well as giving them something for free. And obviously if they don't take you up on that offer, you've now got their kind of email information that you can go ahead and use, and that email information you can then remarket to them and then obviously remind them, because a lot of people who actually take these lead magnets don't actually open them the first time. You can remind them in these various other emails you're going to send them in the series to kind of go back and open that lead magnet, because inside that lead magnet hopefully you've got links there back to your main product or service and contact information for your particular business, you can go ahead and advertise them. So you would send them the link to this download page. On the download page, you would again have a link back to your product and service. And then this would allow you to have as much chance of people getting towards your product and service as possible. So there's various kind of paths that they can go down to actually do this. So just on the end here, this is your lead magnet. It can be a video, PDF, a toolkit, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, this is what they're actually going to get and download. And then within that, you're going to have some kind of link back to your sales page or your service or product, whatever it may be. So thanks for watching. Hope you got value from that video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and go ahead and leave me a comment below. Don't forget to check out our blueprint. It shows you step by step how to start a real business online. Very, very good for beginners and super simple to follow along with. So this has been Richard Darby. This is the School of Nomads. Until the next video, take care.